Okay, so hey everyone, I hope I'm audible and visible. Not visible. Just let me know in the chat box if I'm clearly audible and visible. My screen is visible. Is my screen visible? Can any one of you let me know in the chat box? Okay. Yeah, okay. Is my screen visible to you? Like the case study system pro? Okay. So in this, well, first of all, thank you again for joining the session. In this session, we will be solving the profitability cases. We will be catering to how to solve the profitability cases in an interview setting. And again, just like earlier, we will be giving away one more case again, and you have to solve that case accordingly. So be sharing the case with you as well. So without wasting more time, I guess we can get started with the session. So what usually happens in a profitability case, you will be given a case that an XYZ company, the XYZ company profitability has fallen, or there can be cases that they are into losses and their losses has been increased further. Now, in this, what are the different scenarios? So, the very first scenario could be the revenue of that company has fallen down, due to which there is a loss or the profitability of the company has fallen down. There can be a second scenario that the revenue has been constant, but their cost has increased. So if you remember that Misi thing, we what we do in this, so we try to, so it is profit. So we try to Misi things as revenue and then cost. There can be a third scenario as well where the profitability and cost both has increased, but the cost of the company has increased to a greater extent. Now, in this case scenario, again, the revenue and the loss of the company will be affected. Now, in this cases, you will be initially you will be getting very vague statements like the profitability of, let's say, Netflix or Swiggy has fallen down. Now you need to break it down on the revenue and cost, and then you have to find out the solution further, like what is the core reason behind that. Now, how do you actually solve this case? So there are basically four types of methods that we use in order to find out the cause behind the profitability fall. So what we'll be doing. So first of all, the very thing is the MISI framework that I guess I had explained earlier as well. So I can explain that further. So what we do, MISI stands for uh, mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive, which means there is no third thing. There is no third point, but uh, mutually revenue and cost both are exclusive, but collectively they are exhaustive. So what we try to do is we use the MISI framework in order to find out whether the problem lies on the revenue side or the cost side. And then we, let's say, if the problem lies on the revenue side, then we further try to break it down. Then we have the process mapping. So I have explained this as well in my previous session, so I'll be explaining that again. So it is, let's say, the process map can differ from industry to industry, case to case. For example, in this case, I have taken a very simple case where there's a manufacturing company and they're like the raw material, then the production, they have the distribution channels, and they have the customers. Now, what we try to do in process mapping, we try to list down all the set of steps, the sequential steps that it takes to take thing A to B. Now, in this case, profitability case, what we will be doing, we will be trying to understand about the at what step, at what specific process the problem lies. For example, let's say you have been given a case that the profitability of a company has fallen down. Now, what you will be doing, you will be first of all trying to list all sort of steps, all sort of processes, and after that then you will try to find out the solution, like whether the problem lies on the customer service, whether the problem lies on the distribution, or whether the problem lies with the production. And then we have the business framework. So business framework thing is something which is not something which I usually use, but it can be used. So we have multiple business consulting frameworks. Like we have the 4 P's of marketing, 7 S, 5 P's, 4 P's, and so on and so forth. So I'll be sharing the list of all the relevant consulting business frameworks that can be used. Moving forward, we have the formula approach. Now, what we do in this case, we basically try to quantify things. For example, I can explain this with an example. Now, uh, let's say there we have one. Let's say we have a shop, and the shop revenue has fallen down, and you have to figure out what is the problem with the specific shop, that their profitability has fallen down. Now, what are the different things that you will be doing? So in this case, what you will try to do, you will try to list down where the problem lies. For example, let's say the shop is in a mall. So you'll try to say, okay, the very first thing could be the what is the footfall of that specific mall. Then let's say your shop is at fourth floor. Then you'll try to figure out how many people actually out of the entire uh, footfall, how many people visits the fourth floor. Now let's say out of the fourth floor there are multiple shops. So how many people actually visit the fourth shop, your shop specifically? And once they visit your shop, you try to figure out how many people actually buys product from your shop. After that, once you figure out this, then you try to figure out what is the how much product do they actually buy from your specific product, whether it is like on a higher end, whether it is on a higher end, on a lower end, or whether there is a change compared uh, to the previous month or the previous quarter. And then you try to figure out where the problem lies. For example, let's say you try to understand uh, about the footfall. Has the footfall of that specific uh, mall has fallen down, let's say, and you try to figure out that the footfall of that mall is still 20,000 a day. Let's take a situation. So out of 20,000, you try to figure out how many people are visiting the fourth floor. Now you get to know that 10,000 people visits the fourth floor. Out of 10,000, uh, 2,000 visits your shop, and out of 2,000, let's say 1,000 people makes a purchase earlier, and after that, after out of those 1,000, what is the product, or how much product do they want? Let's say three products, and what is the expenditure that they incur? So this is how you calculate the revenue. Now there can be a situation where you try to figure out where the problem is. Let's say instead of 20,000, less people are visiting the mall. It could be due to anything. And there can be a second scenario, that the number of people are visiting early as per the previous reports, the previous benchmarks only. But the problem lies on the number of people who visits your shops specifically. Even though 10,000 people visits the fourth floor, but the problem lies on the your shop. Why are they not visiting your shop? There can be a possibility that there is a competitor in your at your floor only, so they are preferring that. Now let's say the problem lies on this at this only 10,000. So there can be a possibility that there is a new competitor at third floor or second floor or first floor only. Or there can be one more thing. Let's say these numbers are same as previously. So you try to figure out how many people. So you get to know that the people are not buying your product. And the problem lies at the selling. That the the consumer are not buying your specific product specifically. So this is how you try to quantify things in order to find out the number by which the profit and let's say the loss or the revenue has been affected. Now, formula approach is very useful. So I have explained this with a similar example in my previous session. I'm just repeating the same stuff. In the business framework, we usually there are many frameworks, but some of the very popular would be the four C's of market, four C's, where we try to analyze the competitors, the cost, the customer, and then again the company. That and we try to analyze these four parameters and then we try to make certain decision. But it is not just limited to this. There are multiple more than 20 frameworks. So I'll be sharing the list of the frameworks with you so that you can follow that accordingly. And I'll be explaining this part in detail in further slides. Okay, now this is something there can be the problem lies on the revenue side or the problem can lie on the cost side. So let's explain this with the cost side. Now in the cost side we have like the fixed costs and then we have the variable costs. So what we do, let's say, how do you actually solve a problem in this case scenario? First of all, you try to ask the interviewer about let's explain this with an example. Let's say the profitability of Netflix has fallen down. Now at this point of time you'll ask an interviewer about is it is just Netflix who's facing this issue, or is it Disney Plus, Hotstar, or other OTT platforms as well? The interviewer will give you a certain direction that the profitability of the XYZ company, let's say Disney, is indifferent, but our profitability has fallen down. Now, at this point of time, we'll get to know about that the problem is with Netflix. First of all, you'll try to get understand about this. Now, then you try to understand whether the problem lies on the cost side or the revenue side. So you can ask certain questions like, has Netflix tried to expand its operation in a at a new place or a new geography? Now, from here, let's say you'll get a certain direction. At this point of time, we'll get to know that let's say Netflix has expanded its operations to a new geography, due to which they have incurred many costs, and due to this enormous rise in the cost, their profitability has uh, affected. And most of the cases, what happens? The problem lies with the variable cost in most of the cases. Now, in fixed cost, we have the rent, the admin cost, the research and development, and the capital structure cost. And capital structure cost includes like the interest that you pay on the debt side you have taken. Then we have the R&D cost. You try to find out whether the problem lies with the fixed cost or whether the problem lies with the variable cost. For example, in the Netflix example, the problem lies on the fixed cost because they have tried to expand to a new operations, and it is the case. But of course, since they have expanded to a new geography, so the loss or the fall in the property would not have a greater impact because they'll eventually generate the cash flow in the upcoming time since they have their operations ready in that specific geography. Now, moving forward, the one more thing that we do. So, in this slide only, okay, it is not there. Now, there can be possibility that the problem lies with the supply chain. For example, uh, uh, what we usually try to understand in this case, uh, in the value chain, we have the supply. The problem can be due to the supply, and in the supply chain, we try to analyze the different activities. That's the primary activities in the entire value chain, which is this. We try to understand about the inbound logistics, the operations, outbound logistics, marketing and services, and the supporting activities, which is responsible for the primary. And based upon this, we try to understand at what part, at what part of the supply chain the problem lies. And this is something we follow when we do some sort of cost side analysis. Okay, moving forward to the revenue side problem, that how do we figure out? Now, revenue, there can be a fall in the revenue due to, let's say, two to three reasons. First of all, let's start off our discussion with the volume. Now, in case of volume, there could be two possibilities. Number one is the market size. Secondly, the market share. Now, let's say I have already explained this in my previous session, so you might have, in case you have attended that, you might be aware. Now, let's say we have a market of 10 CR. I'm taking arbitrary numbers. So there can be two cases that the profitability of a company has affected in the market sizing. The number one could be that the market size has reduced to from 10 to 8 CR. 8 CR. The industry in which the client is operating or they have, the market size has fallen down. Earlier, the client had like 25% of the share of, let's say, 2.5 CR, and since they still have the 25% of the market share, but the industry is affected. Now, in this case, what we will be trying to understand why the overall industry is suffered. Okay. Secondly, then we will try to understand why this specific company is suffering more. Well, in this case, it is still 25%, but we try to understand where exactly the problem lies. Then second is the market share. As I mentioned that, let's say the company's market share has, the market is same, but the company's market share has fallen down from 25% to 20%. So we try to understand from this point of view. Where is okay? So okay. Now, since the volume, as in the number of in terms of unit, has fallen down due to this market share and the market pricing, market share and the market size, then there could be the other possibilities as well. Like we have the selling price of the product, and we find out the revenue by the price that we pay and the number of units that we sell. So now we can actually get this number from here by doing this volume analysis. And then we try to understand about the competitors, substitutes, and the price elasticity in order to find out the value. So let's say the number or the market size is constant, but the problem is due to this pricing, that the price has fallen down. Let's say the industry in which the client operates, uh, the price is decided by the government, or let's say the price has fallen down due to the demand and supply. So in this case, like let's say you can recommend them that they can diversify into a different business. And there could be possibilities that there is a new competitor, and they are giving some incentives freebies to the consumers, and then due to which the consumers are preferring that, and the price of the product has been affected accordingly. Then there could be the possibility of a substitute, that instead of R, they are trying to go to some other place. Now, this can be the other possibilities. Okay. Now, moving forward to the variety. Now, there can be possibilities that the company, let's say, let's about the company's business. Now, let's say there's a company which operates in A, B, C, different categories. Now, let's say the overall profitability of this ABC company has fallen down. Now we'll try to understand the different variety of the products that it's offering, or the different things that they have, let's say A, B, C, and then we'll try to find out where the problem lies. Then we have the sale point, so we'll try to understand the about the different point of sales where, and then we'll try to figure out where the problem lies. And let's say the distribution channels. Now let's say the profitability of the company has fallen down, then we'll try to figure out whether the problem lies on the online or the offline. So there can be similar cases. So we basically try to break down the problem on the different phases. Then we have there can be possibility that the product is available, and the problem lies on the customer, that the customers are not willing to buy our product. So let's say the number of customer, again it is due to the two factors, the demand side and the supply side. Now demand side again, as explained, the consumer are shifting to another product. Secondly, they are shifting to a competitor, due to which our product is not that great. So we'll try to differentiate our product from our competitor and then launch that again. And then we can do a superstill analysis in order to find out the superstill. We basically analyze the political, economical, social, technological, legal, and in the other environment in order to find out the reason. Then in the supply chain, as I have explained the value chain in the previous slide, and it can also be due to the pestle analysis that we'll be doing. Uh, as this is the value chain analysis, where we try to figure out where the problem lies, whether the problem lies on the support activities or the primary activities. So it is all internal. Moving ahead with the segmentation, why segmentation is important and why we should be avoid the averages because it may lead. So I can explain this with an example. Let's say we are working on a profitability case only, and the companies operate in A geography, B geography, and C geography. Now let's say in 2023 the company did a revenue of, let's say, 20,000 units of a specific product, and they are operating in ABC geography. Now, in this case, their 20,000 entire revenue, entire sale was as follow. In A, it was, let's say, 10,000. In B, it was, let's say, 5,000. In C, it is like, in C, let's say it is 5,000 again. Now, what we will be doing, we'll try to understand in 2023 it was the same, and in 2024 something happens different. In 2024, their their sale dropped to 15,000 units. Now, in this case, the profitability, in B and C, they were able to sell 4,000, 5,000 each units again. It's a 10, so it's total to 10,000. And in A, it dropped to 5,000. Now, although the overall revenue has fallen down in terms of that, but when we are taking the total of average and then we'll try to figure out the solution. So the problem mainly lies with this A. The revenue here has fallen down by 50%. And in this case it is indifferent. But the overall revenue has fallen. So instead of taking the average, we'll try to segment things where the problem lies in order to find out the where the problem lies. Okay. Okay, exactly. So overall, your revenue maybe look flat, but the segment is something which may be collapsing in a specific geography, as I have mentioned this with an example. Similarly, there can be a situation. Let's say, let's explain this with an example of, let's say, Zomato. I'm just taking like a hypothetical situation. I'm not sure what is the current situation is. Now, let's say Zomato have three businesses, and they are into the uh, food delivery business. Then they are into the quick commerce. Then they also have the hypercar. Okay. Now what happened, although they had like the different products, but let's say Zomato's entire revenue has fallen down by 10% or 20%. But the problem is again not on the food business or the e-commerce business, or let's say the problem is lies with this specific business. Now we'll try to figure out where the problem lies with, whether the problem lies with product A, product B, or product C in the uh, in uh, in profitability cases by segmenting the products. Similarly, Similarly, we try to identify the high performer and the low performers. For example, I can again explain this with an example. Let's say we have Nike, and Nike, they have offline stores, and they also have online stores. They also sell online. Now in this case, what happened? Let's say the offline stores is doing pretty well, and their online has fallen down, or vice versa. Now we'll try to understand and break down the problem accordingly, as segmentation is helping us to find out the problem. Let's say the entire revenue of Nike has fallen down by 20%, but their uh, their offline stores revenue has increased. It means the problem mainly lies with the online. So we'll be trying to focusing our entire discussion and entire focus on the online part. Secondly, then moving forward, we can actually clear about the data by asking questions from the interviewer in order to find out where the actual problem lies. Moving forward to the critical comparisons, we do in sort of analysis in order to find out the problem at the gaps. For example, in intrafirm, what we do, we try to compare this with our previous year performances, and then we try to find out where the problem lies and what is the weak points of this entire of the organization. And in the interform, we try to compare it with an example with the competitor, and then we try to find out where the problem lies. So this actually helps a lot when we are working on cases. Moving ahead, to the what are the different preliminary questions that you can ask from interviewer when you are solving cases. Now I have again segregated this into three parts, specifically the clarifying questions. So you can ask clarifying question. Let's say you have been given a case that the profitability of a company has fallen. Now you try to understand what sort of extent of the profit is, whether the profit has fallen down by 10% or 20%. So you try to understand about the what, how much the loss or the profit is, and then whether it is an abnormal profit or abnormal loss. So, okay, moving ahead. Uh, okay, these questions you ask in order to clarify the questions, not for the specific. You'll ask questions regarding the specific questions in the later phases of the interview. So initially, you ask certain questions regarding the case only, so that you and interviewer are on the very same page, and there is no ambiguity. So, for example, first of all, you try to understand, okay, what is the point, how much the profit is, since how long the profitability has fallen, and we try to understand whether it is a company specific issue or an industry specific issue, and then we try to understand about, uh, we try to ask about the secondary questions. Now, the profit in the primary, the session essentials clarifying question are asked in order to find out the the facts of the case initially, so that you can structure your solution further. And secondly, there is no ambiguity between you and the interviewer, and both are on the very same page. Now then we try to understand about the company, as let's say what is the company's product and what is their current distribution channel, so that we can further break down the problem and find out the solution. And then who are the main customer segments? So it is one of the very important questions that usually you can ask in order to find out the customer segments. And then what is the process across the different geographies? So what I meant by this is I can explain this with an example of let's say Apple. Now what Apple do, they do their raw material, which is like the let's say the chips uh, from Taiwan, and then it is manufactured and it is produced in China. And from China, the product is through the distribution channel. It is being used by the USA customer, and let's say Indian customers. Now, what we will be trying to understand, let's say the problem lies on some of the processes. Let's say uh, there is some sort of disagreement between the raw material provider country and let's say the producing company's country. So now this can be one of the reasons. So we'll try to figure out where the problem lies. Similarly, so in this process, how the process is spread across the different geographies. So every single time when we try to figure out in which geography the major problem lies, we essentially, after further discussion, find out the problems. And then which region and the distribution channel involved, whether we have the online or the offline, or in which specific geographies the company has business in. So we try to understand about that, and then we try to understand in which specific geographies and in which specific channels the problem lies. Then is revenues is concentrated in a few segments or diversified. So we try to understand about the product portfolio of the company. Like there are multiple products that a company has to offer, and then we try to understand about the in which specific segment and which specific portfolio their revenue has fallen down. For example, I can explain this with a real example. Uh, uh, in this case, if you remember Byju's, in case of Byju's, they have acquired multiple companies. So they have acquired White Hat Junior, they have acquired Akash, and much more. Then they have also acquired some more companies that, as far as I couldn't remember all those companies. But the point is that entire Byju's profitability got reduced. But the Akash was profitable. They made, I guess, 800 crore profit in one of the financial year, 800 or 1000 crore of profit. But White Hat Junior was they were making so many much losses that it contributed approx 29% of the entire loss that Byju's was facing. So what we usually do, we try to understand about the different segments of the business, and then we try to find out where the problem actually lies. Okay. Okay, now like we try to understand about the specific questions. Like is there is any trend and any aggressive significant changes in the supplier pricing or the contract. So we try to understand that. Hmm. Then moving forward, let's say in some of the cases, as I've mentioned that the problem is lies on the customer side, which eventually affect the behavior of a customer, whether they are going to buy our product or not. So we try to understand about the this very carefully. For example, how our product is priced, we try to understand that uh, compared to the competitors, whether it is competitively priced or not, and then how is our product differentiated from the competitors. We try to understand from this point, and then we try to how our packaging differ from the competitors. Now, in this, we do not just focus on the primary or the secondary packaging, but we also talk about the peripheral packaging. For example, I can explain this with a case study of Kisan. Kisan ka they had like a ketchup, Kishan and Cho. So they, basically Kishan. Now they had launched their and Maggie as well. So they launched their tomato ketchup as uh, Pichku Maggie, if I'm not wrong. As far as I remember, it was Pichku Maggie, where they entirely changed the packaging, and then it was accepted by the user. So we try to understand about that. Let's say we have Kisan, and we also have the Maggie ka Pichku wala tomato ketchup. Now, although I guess they adopted this at the very same time, because they were very good at the analyzing the competitors. The once the one company launched, both the companies were introduced these products at the very same time. That you can use that specific entire tomato ketchup, and then you can pack it again. So this is something that you try to understand. Additionally, it can be further break it down as packaging, as in mm, 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 the core and the uh, peripheral. So I just explained the peripheral stuff. And the core could be that, let's say, the in the product they have the fragrance. The fragrance, let's say, in case of soap or perfume, the fragrance is affected, or in comparison to the competitor, they had done something great, or they had with some sort of changes. So we try to understand that. Then we moving forward to the promotion. So promotion, so how the competitors and we are promoting our product actually makes a difference on the customer buying behavior. Now let's say our client, they are primarily focusing on the um, let's say influencer marketing, or the TV and so on and so forth. But there is a competitors of ours, and they are using Google Ads, and from Google Ads they are able to generate great insights, and with the less expenditure they are able to make more sales than our client. So we try to analyze how our competitor is trying to promote their product, or how their promotion, or the promotion of our product is affected. So depending upon our promotion strategy, the customer behavior is again affected. Okay, so that's it for today's session, guys. Thank you for joining us today again. So profitability cases are something which are easy comparing to all the three that I've mentioned: the guesstimates, the profitability, and the guesstimates market entry. So profitability is the easiest among these three. So that's it for today's session. Uh, in case you guys have any doubts, you can ask in the comment section, chat box. I'll answer that. PPT. Okay, I'll share the presentations with you. Uh, last three class की नहीं आई. Okay, okay. The thing is that there are some sort of place. Okay, yeah. Okay, the one of the P's is place, but in case of this specific product, now there in the place we talk about the different the distribution channel. So how in case of this, how our product packaging. So we have the packaging thing that which will be affecting the customer buying behavior. Although value chain analysis will take every single thing, What does 3 C's, 7 C's, and 5 P's means? Okay, so there are a bunch of consulting framework which is being used. So I'll be sharing all sort of skills. So I have not included all the frameworks, but what I'll be doing, I'll be compiling all the relevant business consulting and the frameworks, and I'll be sharing that with you. And okay, so the reason I'm not able to share the PPTs is because I used to make some sort of PPTs and I used to explain on the very same uh, slides. So when I share the PPTs as it is, so there are chances that the newbies who are referring to my presentations, they won't be able to get the context. So I'll definitely share the PPTs for sure. Additionally, uh, I'm unable to incorporate all the practical aspects and the case solving in the session. But I assure you that on the Sunday session, we will be calling one of the consultants and we'll be solving all the cases live while revising all the things that we have done so far. Linika, not okay, okay, okay. I'll share all the PPTs. Addition, Ankit Kumar Giri. I'll share all the PPTs with you. What to do if you can share a solution for the answer? Okay, I'll share the solution with you as well once the deadline passed. I'll share the solution as well. What would be the possible solution that I'll be giving away? But again, the solutions could not be limited to one thing. There can be multiple solutions. Let us something about yourself. I mean, you want today's quiz? We don't have a quiz today. Instead, we'll again have a submission round. So I'll share the submission case problem again by 10:30. Anything else? Thank you. Just need a reference. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. I'll share the solution with you for sure. Tell us something about yourself. Okay, so I'm a second year undergrad student at Sri Ram College of Commerce. I'm pursuing bachelor's in commerce from Sri Ram College of Commerce. I'm born and brought up in Bihar, and that's it about me, I guess. Okay. Anything else? Any other doubts you have? I'll definitely take that out. Please keep TJE time. What TJE मतलब? समझा नहीं मैं. Can we assume the values for the previous pro- problem? Which problem you're referring to? Okay, so I guess. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you for joining. I guess. Oh, sorry. Keep the deadline for Sunday. Okay, we'll consider that. Can we assume the values for the previous problem? Yes, you can quote all the assumptions that you'll be taking in the assumption sections. We'll definitely go through that and we'll evaluate accordingly. And yesterday's problem. Okay. Yeah, sure. You can take assumptions, but just try to write it down that you have taken this 10% or 20% as your assumption in case you are working around the finances. Okay. Okay, I guess so. In case you don't have any further doubts, I guess we um, can you keep quiz assignments are a bit difficult. Actually, the thing is, we started with the quiz so that you gain some of the confidence with this entire bootcamp, and then we introduce this case submission so that you get to know about because the case problem that we are giving is very easy as compared to most of the case competitions case problems. So it is just the basic base that you will be learning in this entire session. After the end of the bootcamp, you can participate in many case competitions, and then you'll try to figure out that the case problem that you receive in those competitions are actually on a higher end. So we are just helping you out with your further progress in the case competitions or the case problem solving. Okay, thank you for joining us today. I guess we can end this session. In case of any queries or any doubts, you can reach out to me. I'll surely get back to you. Thank you so much for joining us once again.